The call from the star's ambassador. Elysia stood before the emergency transmitter, her luminescent skin dimmed with exhaustion. Outside the communications center, explosions shook the crystalline walls of New Haven, the last major Varian city still standing. Where elegant spires and suspended gardens once graced the skyline, only smoke and ruin remained after 3 weeks of relentless Korvax bombardment. "Is it operational?" Elysia asked, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly as dust rained from the ceiling. The technician nodded. "Yes, Ambassador. The signal will reach Earth in approximately 12 hours if their relays are functioning." "But, Ambassador..." He hesitated, mandibles clicking nervously. "Are we certain the humans will help? We've only maintained diplomatic relations for 5 standard years." Security Chief Talon, a battle-scarred veteran of the Varian Defense Corps, grunted from his position by the door. "We have no choice. The Galactic Concord has abandoned us to our fate, claiming non-interference in regional disputes. The Korvax have taken 3 of our colony worlds already." Elysia straightened her ceremonial mantle, once shimmering with embedded living crystals, now dulled and cracked. "The humans are different. I've spent time among them. They understand concepts like mercy and intervention that many spacefaring species consider inefficient." The technician activated the recorder. A small light pulsed green. Elysia took a deep breath. "People of Earth, this is Ambassador Elysia of the Varian Collective. Our worlds are under attack by the Korvax Empire. 3 of our worlds have fallen. Millions of our people are dead or enslaved. The Galactic Concord has refused direct intervention." Her voice cracked slightly. "Earth stands as our final hope. We respectfully request any aid you can provide in this darkest hour." The message sped across the void toward a blue-green planet that most galactic powers considered unremarkable. 12 hours later, in a classified facility beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, communications specialist Rivera sat up straight. "Director Blackwood, priority transmission from Varian space." Director Samira Blackwood, head of the Earth Defense Coalition, moved quickly to the console. Her expression remained composed, but those who knew her well could see the concern in her dark eyes. "Play it," she ordered. The room fell silent as Ambassador Elysia's desperate message echoed through the command center. When it finished, Blackwood turned to her second-in-command. "Contact the Security Council and prepare the 7th Fleet for immediate deployment." Commander Chen looked surprised. "The 7th Fleet? That's our most advanced battle group. The Galactic Concord doesn't even know it exists." "And that's precisely why we've kept it hidden," Blackwood replied. "Prepare the diplomatic cover story. As far as the Concord knows, we're sending humanitarian vessels and medical ships." Chen nodded but hesitated. "Director, why risk revealing our military capabilities now? The Varians are friendly, but they aren't formal allies." Blackwood's expression hardened as she studied the tactical display showing Varian space. "Because, Commander, humanity didn't claw its way to the stars to watch good people die when we could help. And because if the Korvax succeed with the Varians, who do you think they'll target next?" In the Great Hall of the Galactic Concord, representatives from 173 spacefaring species debated the Varian crisis. The massive chamber hummed with voices, some raised in argument, others lowered in private negotiations. The Zith representative, a tall insectoid being with iridescent chitin, stood at the central podium. "The Concord's position remains unchanged. The conflict between the Varian Collective and the Korvax Empire constitutes a regional dispute. We will offer diplomatic solutions and humanitarian corridors, but direct military intervention would violate our non-interference principles." From the Earth section, Ambassador Marcus Thompson stepped forward. He was an unassuming man who had spent 5 years carefully cultivating an image of humans as scholarly, peaceful, and somewhat naive newcomers to interstellar society. "The people of Earth hear the Concord's position with respect," he began in his customary gentle tone. "However, We cannot stand by while innocent lives are lost. Earth will be sending aid ships to evacuate civilians and provide medical assistance to the Varians. The Korvax representative, General Draz, a massive reptilian humanoid with armored scales and sharp cranial ridges, hissed loudly. The Korvax Empire warns that any interference in our justified expansion will be met with overwhelming force. The humans would be wise to remain in their own system. Ambassador Thompson smiled pleasantly. We appreciate your concern, General. Our ships will be clearly marked as non-military vessels. We seek only to ease suffering, the Zith representative nodded. The Concord acknowledges Earth's humanitarian mission and expects all parties to respect medical and evacuation vessels under galactic law. As the session ended, General Draz approached Thompson. Your species is young and doesn't understand galactic politics. The Varians refuse to share their crystal technology with us, so they face the consequences. Do not risk your people's lives for their mistake. Thompson bowed slightly. We appreciate your advice, General. Rest assured, Earth knows its place in the galaxy. As the Korvax representative walked away, Thompson's pleasant expression remained unchanged, but his eyes hardened. Little did the Concord know that while this diplomatic theater played out, Earth's 7th Fleet was already preparing for departure. Deep within Earth's Titan shipyards, hidden from foreign observation by Saturn's dense atmosphere, 15 massive warships hummed to life. Each vessel spanned nearly a kilometer in length, built with technology that Earth had carefully concealed from their new galactic neighbors. Director Blackwood walked through the command deck of the flagship, the EDF, Nemesis. Crew members worked with quiet efficiency, preparing the most powerful battle group humanity had ever built for its first true combat deployment. Status report, Blackwood ordered as she took her seat in the command chair. All ships report ready. For jump, Director, replied Fleet Admiral Hassan. Weapon systems primed, shields at maximum. The diplomatic vessels are already en route to provide our cover story. Good. Send final confirmation to Earth Command. Blackwood studied the main display showing all 15 warships in formation. For 5 years, humanity had hidden its true nature from the galaxy. They had sent scientists, diplomats, and traders as their representatives, carefully concealing the fact that Earth was classified as a death world, a planet so dangerous that it had forced its inhabitants to become some of the most adaptable and tenacious survivors in known space. Director, we've received clearance from Earth Command and the Security Council, the communications officer announced. Message reads, protect the innocent, show restraint where possible, but if necessary, show them what humanity is capable of. Blackwood nodded. Signal the fleet. We jump in 5 minutes. As the powerful engines prepared for faster-than-light travel, Blackwood thought about the Varians. They were a peaceful species, from a world without predators or natural disasters. They had never needed to develop military technology or tactical thinking. They had no concept of what it meant to evolve on a world that constantly tried to kill you, and neither did the Korvax. Jump drives engaged. Ready on your command. Blackwood took a deep breath. Humanity was about to reveal its true nature to the galaxy, for better or worse. Execute jump. In a flash of light that briefly outshone Saturn itself, the fleet vanished into the void, bound for Varian space. Not as the peaceful aid workers the galaxy expected, but as warriors born from a world of death and struggle, ready to fight. 3 weeks had passed since the fall of the third Varian world. On the bridge of the Korvax command ship Dominion, General Vox studied the holographic map of the Varian system with cold satisfaction. His forces had moved faster than expected, crushing the weak defenses of the peaceful species with minimal losses. Report, he ordered, his scaled skin reflecting the red emergency lights that had become standard on Korvax ships. His second-in-command, War Commander Creel, stepped forward. The fourth planet is nearly secured, General. Our forces have taken 6 major cities. Only New Haven remains, and it will fall within days. And the fifth planet? Its defenses are stronger, but they cannot last. 2 weeks, perhaps 3, and the entire system will belong to the Korvax Empire. Vox nodded, his bone ridges clicking together in satisfaction. Excellent. Any word from the Galactic Conquered? Only useless diplomatic noise. They condemn our actions but do nothing to stop us. Creel paused. There is one development, however. The humans have announced they are sending aid ships. Vox turned, his yellow eyes narrowing. Humans? The soft-worlders from that unremarkable blue planet? Yes, General. According to our intelligence, they're sending medical teams and evacuation vessels. Vox laughed, a harsh sound that made junior officers flinch. Let them come. Perhaps we'll capture their ships after they arrive. I'm curious about their technology. A young officer approached and saluted. General, our long-range sensors have detected ships entering the system. They appear to be human vessels. How many? Just one large ship at the moment, sir. It's broadcasting as the Earth diplomatic vessel Mercy. Vox settled into his command chair. Put them on screen when they're in range, and inform them they may approach the outer planet only. If they venture closer to our operations, destroy them. Director Blackwood stood on the bridge of the EDF Nemesis, now disguised as the diplomatic vessel Mercy. The rest of the fleet remained cloaked, hidden from Korvax sensors by technology unknown to the wider galaxy. We're being hailed by the Korvax command ship, reported the communications officer. On screen, Blackwood ordered. The image of General Vox appeared, his scaled face imposing to most species in the galaxy. To humans, who had evolved alongside predators on Earth, he looked like an overgrown lizard playing soldier. Human vessel, Vox began. You are permitted to approach the fifth planet to evacuate civilians. Come no closer to our conquest zones or you will be destroyed. Blackwood nodded politely. We understand, General. However, as representatives of Earth, we must formally request that you cease your aggression against the Varian Collective immediately and withdraw your forces from this system. Vox laughed. Your species is young and doesn't understand how the galaxy works. The strong take what they want. The Varians are weak, so they fall. Simple as that. Is that your final position? Blackwood asked calmly. It is. Now stay in your designated zone or face consequences. Blackwood nodded again. Very well. I believe we have a human saying that applies here. Around and find out. Before Vox could respond to the unfamiliar phrase, Blackwood signaled to her tactical officer. Decloak the fleet. Teeth of the Deathworlders. On the Korvax command ship, alarms suddenly blared. The sensor officer's voice rose in panic. General! Multiple massive ships appearing out of nowhere. They were cloaked. Impossible. Vox stood, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. Where moments before there had been a single human ship, now 15 enormous warships hung in space, each one dwarfing his command vessel and bristling with weapon systems unlike anything in Korvax records. What are those? He demanded. War Commander. Creel studied the readings, his confidence evaporating. According to our database, humans have no military vessels of this size or capability. These ships, they don't match any known human designs. On the screen, Director Blackwood's expression remained calm. General Vox, perhaps I wasn't clear. This is not a diplomatic mission. This is a military operation. You are facing the Earth Defense Coalition's 7th Fleet. You have 1 hour to begin withdrawing your forces from Varian space, or we will remove them for you, Vox snarled. This is some trick. Your species has no warships. The Concord records show you're from a Category 3 standard world with minimal military capability. For the first time, Blackwood smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. I'm afraid your information is outdated. Allow me to educate you about humans. Her voice hardened. We evolved on what you would classify as a Category 12 death world. Every day on Earth was a fight for survival against predators, diseases, natural disasters, and each other. We learned warfare before we learned writing. In the Great Hall of the Galactic Concord, chaos erupted as live feeds from the Varian system displayed the human fleet. Representatives from hundreds of species watched in shock as the truth about humanity was revealed. The Zith representative turned to Ambassador Thompson, who sat calmly watching the displays. "You lied to us! All this time your people presented themselves as scholars and diplomats." Thompson nodded. "We never lied. We simply didn't volunteer information that wasn't asked for. You saw what you expected to see. A peaceful species eager to learn from the galaxy. But those ships, that technology, is the result of evolving on a world that tried to kill us every day." Thompson finished. "We hoped we would never need to reveal this side of ourselves, but we will not stand by while innocent species are slaughtered." Back in the Varian system, Vox struggled to process this new information. He had committed his fleet based on intelligence that humans were weak, technologically inferior creatures. "I don't believe you," he said finally. "This is a bluff. Those ships probably can't even fire their weapons." Director Blackwood sighed. "I was hoping to avoid unnecessary bloodshed." She turned to her weapons officer. "Target their smallest destroyer. One shot." From the Nemesis, a beam of concentrated energy lanced out. It struck a Korvax destroyer at the edge of their formation. The ship didn't explode dramatically. It simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that only a small cloud of superheated particles remained. Silence fell across the Korvax command bridge. "That," said Blackwood, "was our smallest weapon. You now have 59 minutes to begin your withdrawal. For every minute you delay, we will remove another of your ships." War Commander Creel leaned close to Vox. "General, we should consider a tactical retreat. These humans, they're not what we thought they were." Vox stared at the space where his destroyer had been moments before. His entire understanding of galactic power had just been shattered. The humans weren't the sheep they'd presented themselves as. They were wolves who had walked among sheep, hiding their true nature. And now, the wolves had bared their teeth. In New Haven, Ambassador Elysia watched with disbelief as human ships appeared in the skies above her world. The Korvax bombardment had suddenly stopped, their ships pulling back into defensive formations. "Could it be?" she whispered, her 4 eyes wide with hope. Security Chief Talon studied the tactical data coming through their systems. "Those are warships. The humans sent warships. But how? They don't have a military fleet registered with the Concord." The communication console chimed. "Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." Elysia activated the display. Director Blackwood's face appeared. "Ambassador Elysia, I'm Director Samira Blackwood of the Earth Defense Coalition. We received your message and have come to assist. The Korvax forces are being given 1 hour to begin withdrawal from your system. In the meantime, we're deploying ground teams to secure your cities and rescue any hostages." Elysia's luminescent skin brightened with emotion. "Director Blackwood, we had hoped for aid, but this... How can we ever repay such intervention?" "We can discuss that once your people are safe," Blackwood replied. "For now, please coordinate with our ground team leader, Major Reyes. She'll be landing near your position shortly." Major Sophia Reyes checked her combat gear one final time as the dropship descended toward New Haven. Unlike the bulky power armor of Korvax troops, the humans wore lightweight exosuits that seemed to bend, light around them. "All right, people, listen up," she addressed her team of 20 Special Forces operators. "We've got multiple hostage situations across the city. Korvax forces are holding Varian civilians in at least 6 locations. Our job is to get those people out safely." "Rules of engagement, Major?" asked Lieutenant Kovich. "Standard rescue protocols. We're here to save lives, not take them unnecessarily. But if the Korvax want to fight? She checked the power level on her pulse rifle. Show them how humans fight. The dropship landed with barely a whisper. The team moved out, spreading through the ruined city like shadows, their suits active. Camouflage systems adapted to their surroundings, making them nearly invisible to standard Korvax sensors. This is Eagle 1, Reyes spoke into her comm. Team in position outside the Central Administrative Building. Sensors show approximately 30 Korvax troops inside holding 47 Varian hostages. Copy that, Eagle 1, came the response from the Nemesis. You are clear to proceed. Reyes signaled her team. They moved silently to predetermined positions around the building. Unlike the frontal assaults favored by most galactic military forces, humans had perfected the art of asymmetric warfare over centuries of conflict on Earth. 3, 2, 1, execute. The team breached the building from multiple points simultaneously. They moved with impossible speed, their reactions enhanced by the neural interfaces in their suits. Before the Korvax troops could even raise their weapons, 15 were already down. Commander Zark, the Korvax officer in charge of the hostage operation, watched in horror as his troops fell to enemies he could barely see. These weren't the clumsy, predictable tactics he'd been trained to expect from lesser species. This was something else, something lethal and efficient. Hold your fire, he finally shouted as Reyes appeared before him, her weapon aimed at his head. We surrender, Reyes kept her rifle steady. Release the hostages, now! As the Varians were freed, one of them approached Reyes. What are you? He asked, his voice filled with wonder. We thought humans were peaceful traders and scholars. Reyes removed her helmet, revealing a face with dark eyes and a small scar across her cheek. We are many things. When we need to be scholars and traders, we are. When our friends need protection, she looked at the subdued Korvax troops. We're something else entirely. In orbit around the Varian homeworld, the battle continued. The Korvax fleet, initially confident in their superior numbers, now fought desperately against an enemy they couldn't understand. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Director Blackwood watched the tactical display with the cold focus of a predator. Status report. Their fleet is scattering, Director, reported Admiral Hassan. Their formation has broken. They're trying to regroup near the third planet. Don't let them, Blackwood ordered. Keep them separated. Target their command ships first. Major Reyes's voice came through the comm. Director, ground teams report the Korvax have taken thousands of Varian hostages in the main cities. They're threatening to execute them if we don't withdraw. Blackwood's expression didn't change, but her eyes hardened. Inform all ground team leaders to proceed with Operation Shadowfall. In the captured government complex of New Haven, Korvax Commander Zark paced the halls, surrounded by heavily armed troops. The deadline had passed, and he had orders to begin executing hostages. The humans have not withdrawn, he told his lieutenant. Begin the executions, 100 Varians every hour until the humans retreat. Yes, Commander, the lieutenant replied, turning to give the order. A soft thud came from above. The lieutenant looked up. What was... He never finished the sentence. The ceiling panels crashed down, and with them came death. 20 human soldiers dropped into the room, moving with impossible speed. Unlike the Korvax troops' bulky armor, the humans moved like liquid shadows, their weapons making barely a whisper as they fired. Within 15 seconds, every Korvax soldier in the command center was down. Commander Zark remained standing, frozen in shock. Major Reyes approached him. Commander Zark, she said, removing her helmet. I'm Major Reyes of Earth Special Forces. Your men in this building are dead. The hostages are safe. You have two choices, surrender or die. Zark stared at her in disbelief. How? Our sensors showed nothing. We had guards at every entrance. Reyes smiled slightly. We didn't use the entrances. And your sensors aren't designed to detect people who evolved to hunt apex predators. She tapped her communication device. This is Reyes. Government building secured. 58 hostiles neutralized. No civilian casualties, no team casualties. Director Blackwood's voice replied, "Good work, Major. Status of the other targets?" "Teams reporting success across all locations, Director. All hostages secure." Zark sank to his knees as the reality of his situation dawned on him. "What are you people?" Major Reyes looked down at him, her expression neither cruel nor kind, simply efficient. "We're humans. We come from a world where everything, even the air sometimes, tries to kill us. Your people never had a chance." Back in the Concorde, the representatives watched in stunned silence as reports came in from the Varian system. The Korvax fleet was in disarray, their ground forces being systematically dismantled by small teams of human special forces. Elder Morax, the Concorde's most respected historian, turned to Ambassador Thompson. "When this conflict ends, the galaxy will never see humans the same way again." Thompson nodded, a trace of sadness in his eyes. "We knew this day might come. We hoped to integrate with the galactic community peacefully, to be known for our art, science, and diplomacy rather than our capacity for war." "And yet you kept building weapons," observed the Zith representative. "Yes," Thompson admitted, "because where we come from, peace is not something you take for granted. Peace must be protected." The assembly fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity had walked among them like gentle scholars, all while hiding the heart of warriors born from the cruelest world known to the galaxy. General Vox paced the bridge of his command ship, now hidden in the shadow of one of Varian's moons. 3 days had passed since the humans revealed their true nature, and in that time, the Korvax Empire had lost nearly a third of their fleet. "This cannot be happening," he hissed. "We are the Korvax. We have conquered 17 systems. We cannot be defeated by a species that only achieved interstellar travel in the last century." War Commander Creel approached cautiously. Once proud and confident, he now moved with the caution of someone who had seen his world turned upside down. "General, I have gathered all remaining ships. We have 73 vessels still combat-capable. If we concentrate our forces, we might be able to break through their lines and retreat to Korvax space." Vox spun around, his eyes blazing. "Retreat? The Korvax do not retreat. We will crush these humans and show the galaxy that we are not to be trifled with." "But, General, their technology is impressive but not invincible," Vox interrupted. "We've studied the battle recordings. Their ships rely on energy shields that weaken under continuous fire. If we coordinate all our vessels to target a single human ship at a time, we can overwhelm them." Creel didn't look convinced, but he knew better than to argue further. "As you command, General. The fleet awaits your orders." Vox turned to the tactical display. "We will gather our forces here, behind the moon. Then we attack with everything we have, focusing on their flagship first. Once their director is dead, their chain of command will be disrupted." "And if that fails?" Creel asked quietly. Vox's scales darkened with anger. "Then I will challenge their director to single combat, under the ancient rules of war. No galactic power can refuse such a challenge without losing face in the Concorde." What Vox didn't realize was that humans played by different rules entirely, rules forged in the crucible of a death world, where survival was never guaranteed, and victory went to those who adapted fastest. New place in the Starzon, the EDF nemesis. Director Blackwood reviewed the latest reports from the ground teams. Major Reyes's special forces had secured all major population centers on the Varian homeworld, while other teams made progress on the colony worlds. "The Korvax fleet has gone quiet," Admiral Hassan noted. "Our sensors show them gathering behind the fourth moon. They're planning something." Blackwood nodded. "Of course they are. Wounded predators are the most dangerous. Should we pursue them? No. Let them come to us. Position our ships to protect the planet. I want the Valiant and the Defiant to hang back as our reserve force. The tactical officer looked up from her station. Director, we're detecting movement. The Korvax fleet is emerging from behind the moon. All ships are on an attack vector. Blackwood studied the display. They're not spreading out. They're staying in tight formation. Concentrated firepower, Hassan realized. They're going to focus all their ships on a single target. And they're heading straight for us, Blackwood noted, calmly. Clever. Take out the command ship first. She tapped her console. All ships. This is Director Blackwood. The enemy is attempting a concentrated attack on the Nemesis. Execute Plan Hydra. Across the human fleet, ships began to move in a complex pattern that seemed chaotic at first glance, but there was a deadly logic to their movements. They were creating overlapping fields of fire while presenting constantly moving targets. Enemy fleet will be in firing range in 30 seconds, reported the tactical officer. Blackwood settled into her command chair. Let's show them how humans fight when the gloves come off. All weapons, prepare to fire on my mark. On the surface of the Varian homeworld, Major Reyes and her team escorted Ambassador Elysia through the recaptured government district. Varian civilians watched in awe as the human soldiers moved among them, strange beings from a distant world who had appeared from nowhere to save them. I still don't understand, Elysia said, her 4 eyes blinking in confusion. Why would your people help us? You barely know us. Reyes adjusted her weapon, scanning the surroundings out of habit. That's how humans are. We tend to help those in need, especially against bullies. But at such risk, Reyes smiled slightly. With respect, Ambassador, this isn't much risk for us. My team has trained for combat since they were teenagers. Most of us have fought in conditions far worse than this. A thunderous sound from above drew their attention. In the sky, visible even through the atmosphere, flashes of light signaled that a space battle had begun. Reyes's communication device buzzed. Major, this is Director Blackwood. The Korvax fleet is engaging. Be advised they may attempt a last-minute ground assault. Protect the ambassador at all costs. Understood, Director. Reyes turned to her team. Kovic, Martinez, secure this building. Williams, get the long-range sensors online. The rest of you, defensive positions. The human soldiers moved with practiced efficiency, turning the government building into a fortress within minutes. Elysia watched them work, noticing how even in this moment of potential danger, none of them showed fear. You're not afraid, she observed. Reyes checked the power level on her weapon. Being afraid doesn't help. Being prepared does. In space, the battle had erupted with stunning violence. The Korvax fleet, now concentrated into a tight spear formation, drove toward the Nemesis, all ships firing continuously. On the Nemesis's bridge, alarms blared as enemy fire hammered the shields. Shield strength at 84% and falling, reported the engineering officer. Blackwood remained calm. Hold position. Wait for them to commit fully. The Korvax ships pressed their attack, pushing harder as they sensed the Nemesis's shields weakening. Shield strength at 67%, Director. Continue to hold, Blackwood ordered. Not yet. Admiral Hassan looked nervous. Director, if we wait much longer, trust me, Admiral, this isn't my first battle. Blackwood watched the display intently as the Korvax ships tightened their formation, fully committed to their attack run. Then she smiled. Now, execute. Across the fleet, human ships suddenly changed direction with impossible speed. Ships that had been hanging back accelerated forward, while those at the front reversed course. The careful Korvax formation found itself surrounded as the human vessels executed a perfect envelopment maneuver. All ships, fire at will, Blackwood ordered. The human fleet opened fire from all directions, catching the Korvax ships in devastating crossfire. Unable to quickly change their tight formation, the Korvax vessels began taking heavy damage. On the Korvax command ship, General Vox watched in horror as his carefully planned attack collapsed into chaos. "How did they move so fast?" he demanded. "No ship should be able to change direction like that." War Commander Creel clung to a console as the ship shook from a direct hit. "General, we've lost 27 ships in the first wave alone." "We must withdraw!" Vox snarled in fury. "No! Target their flagship with everything we have!" The command ship surged forward, weapons firing continuously at the Nemesis. For a moment, it seemed they might break through as the human flagship's shields flared brightly under the assault. Then 2 human vessels appeared from nowhere, placing themselves between the Korvax command ship and the Nemesis. They absorbed the attack meant for the flagship, their own shields holding firm as they returned fire with devastating accuracy. "Engines hit," cried a Korvax officer. "Weapon systems failing." Vox stared at the tactical display as his attack force disintegrated around him. For the first time in his life, he felt true fear. These weren't just skilled opponents. They fought with a level of coordination and tactical thinking that seemed almost impossible. "All ships, retreat," he finally ordered, his voice hollow. "Break off and scatter. Rendezvous at Point Delta." But it was too late. The human ships had closed the trap, and the Korvax fleet was caught like prey in a hunter's snare.